to hear that so close to you. My next guest, ladies and gentlemen, is from Killarney in County Kerry. And after several small roles in various ads and movies, he got his big break in the acting world when he portrayed Bobby Sands in the IFTA award-winning film Hunger. Since then, his fortunes have soared, with Quentin Tarantino casting him in the international blockbuster Inglourious Basterds. He is even being hailed by some as a new Marlon Brando. Would you welcome, please, Mr. Michael Fassbender. Rather nice to do on work, wasn't it?
Oh my God,
nice
stunning.
Little moment there.
Stunning.
Enjoyed that.
So effortless.
There can't be that many Fassbenders in the Kerry phone book.
No, but there's some in Dublin.
Are there some in Dublin?
Yeah, there's a Fassbender family in Dublin that actually came down and ate in our restaurant down Killarney.
Okay, so they sought you out. Because it must have been a little tough in school, those opening, you know, like when you're kind of 10, 11, 12, when the roles being called out, you know, Murphy, O'Brien, Fassbender, you know.
Yeah.
Did that happen?
Well, you can think of all the different combinations that you can...
Well, help us out. What do you think?
Yeah. Slow Bender was a pretty popular one. And then, you know, there's various sort of connotations to the...
Look, we don't need to keep going. Yes, I get the rough idea.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of, there's German there, obviously, isn't there? And that's the nature of it.
Yeah.
What brought your parents to Killarney?
It actually means Cooper. It's that's what Fassbender is. Fass means barrel, and then bender or the binder would sort of make these barrels. So it's Cooper.
I could see you in the schoolyard trying to explain that to the lads. Fassbender, yeah? It's the bender. It's a Fass. Listen up. The Guinness ad was where a lot of people saw you first. Do you remember the ad, swimming across the ocean? I'm sorry. Him.
Yeah.
Okay, that was you.
Yeah.
Did you? Was it very tough for you? Did you have to, you know, imbibe some of the product you were advertising to help in research?
Yeah. You know, it was the day we were filming, you know, the scene where I sort of have the pint and take a sip.
Yes.
You know, when you're doing adverts, there's a lot of people involved, you know, the client
Sure.
and then sort of various producers, so they want you to do as many takes as they can physically get out of you. So by the end, I was pretty drunk, I have to say.
Keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that. You know, so yeah, we got to taste it. And what's brilliant is actually they have these... basically, a guy pours the perfect pint of Guinness. He travels around with them and sort of wherever they do the Guinness campaigns, and he pours the perfect pint. But he wasn't available, so his son was there doing it that day. So I thought, wow, that's a brilliant job. You know, I thought I had a pretty good job, but that's pretty...
Doesn't come much better than
pretty
that.
unique, yeah.
Of course, you were in Band of Brothers, briefly. I saw it eventually. You're in a hole in Baston for about 10 minutes, but it's great. It's a great hole to be in.
Yeah.
And,
your fetish, isn't it?
I'm a bit of a fan, yeah. But of course, Hunger broke you in so many ways as a star, and you were called, I have it here, the Sunday Times described you as one of the great European actors of his generation. You know, the praise that came and the awards that came with that, Michael, did they sit easy with you? Did they, you know, are you okay with that? Because it's a sense of the build, I mean...
Well, yeah, you know, it's sort of, most of the time, you know, it's like, Jesus, you know, I've managed to sort of get away with another one, or, you know, it's like, and, you know, you're always sort of, you know, expecting, I don't know, a fall when stuff like that. I just don't really read that much, to be honest, in general. No, I don't, you know, I don't read
the stuff
reviews
about you,
or anything like that. I was working with an actor you know, when I was sort of doing some stage, and he was sort of well established, and he said to me, you know, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So, like, you know, the Noel Coward as well, I think, said, you know, if you believe the good reviews, you have to believe the bad ones. And, you know, it can sort of become a distraction as well.
I know you've been avid movie.
But it's nice. It's
nice when it happens.
if it's good, you know.
When Quentin Tarantino calls you to say, I want to talk to you, I mean, when you went to meet him regarding Inglourious Basterds, were you excited about the prospect of meeting him? I mean, were you very blasé or cool? I mean,
no, not at all. I mean, you know, when I started out when I was 18, and I don't know, did I tell you this before, but it was, I did a play of Reservoir Dogs in Killarney in Ravel's nightclub, and I got my friends together, one of whom is actually in the green room at the moment. He played Mr. White, that's Marco. And I played Mr. Pink, and I directed it. totally naively, you know, and that was one of the best experiences I had, because it taught me that with enough sort of gusto, you know, things get done, and it doesn't matter if you don't know the sort of ins and outs of it. You learn it, and you just get it done. So that was, you know, that was how it all sort of, that was the beginning for me of getting into the sort of acting game. So then to actually sort of, you know, have an opportunity to work with him. Was unbelievable.
He strikes me as being slightly manic. Was it a manic meeting? Was it?
Yeah, he's pretty crazy, you know. He's sort of, you know, full on, very sort of passionate, a lot of information going on there, you know. He's got an incredible sort of retention, you know, for things. Like I watch a lot of films, but to remember sort of the detail and everything, you know, like some obscure Italian, you know, sitcom, he'll know it and he'll have a reference point to it. Yeah. And I was sitting sort of, you know, one day on set, and I was looking at him, and I was like, Christ, you know, he's got a big head. And I was thinking, you know, is there more of an area there in his brain
to keep it all in
that you know, that he's overdeveloped? I mean, it's pretty incredible. He is an encyclopedia of knowledge.
And how did the audition go? Well, obviously we know it went well, but were you happy with your own?
No, I wasn't really, because I was doing Fish Tank at the time, film with Andrea Arnold, and we didn't really have a script. Wasn't given to us. It was sort of given us sort of on a day-to-day basis type thing. And so I was working on that, and then I was having to come back and prepare. Landa was actually the character that I really was trying to get.
Yeah, the nasty Nazi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they said, you know, he said, well, tell him to take a look at Landa and Hickox. And I was like, well, I don't have time to sort of, you know, do both. I just threw all my eggs in the Landa basket.
Yes, yes.
And then I arrived there, and he was like, okay, let's take a look at Hickox. And I was like, what about Landa? And he was like, oh, I cast my Landa on Tuesday. And I was like, I said, are you sure? You know, is there any chance? You know, try. And he was like, look, man. He was like, any guy who's cast as Heathcliff is not fucking German enough to play Landa. Okay?
So that was the end of that?
So I was like, I'm not going to push it. You know, he sort of, you know, knows what he wants. So I just did a cold reading of Hickox, and I thought I made an absolute hames of it. And proceeded to go down to the bar down the street
to deal with it,
have a double vodka tonic and call home. And then a week later they called and sort of offered it to me.
Yeah.
But it's mad because he reads the parts with you.
Does
you know?
he?
So that's a bit of a, you know.
And that's an odd one. And then, because you went on to star in the movie, which I think is my favourite film of last year. I thought
really?
I thought it was a cracker. Really enjoyed it. Yeah. And you had, obviously, Brad Pitt was working with. I mean, did you get a kick out of working with the likes of Brad Pitt?
And waiting for the ladies to sort of respond to that.
I don't know. Judging by that reaction, Brad Pitt's not so hot anymore.
Yeah, you know, that was another. You know, I would be lying if I said, you know, that I wasn't sort of, you know, crapping it. You know, because you're standing there.
Why would you be so nervous? I mean, you're.
Well, you know, it's you know, you're in that sort of company, and you know, it's like, you know, you know, it's just mad to sort of be standing on set, and you know, there's Brad Pitt, you know, there doing his stuff, and Quentin's sort of in the corner, and you're kind of like, hang on a second, you know, I'm from Killarney, you know, it's like, you know, it's
your Jim will fix it moment. Isn't it?
Yeah. But then, you know, you get over it, and you're in, and then off you go, you know. But
I want to show. You want to see Michael in action, and this is great from Inglourious Basterds. Check out the accent.
Well, if this is it, old boy, I hope you don't mind if I go out speaking to kings.
By all means, Captain.
There's a special rung in hell reserved for people who waste good scotch. Seeing as I may be rapping on the door momentarily. I must say, damn good stuff, sir. Now, about this pickle we find ourselves in. It would appear there's only one thing left for you to do.
And what would that be?
Stiglitz.
Sehr auf Wiedersehen to your Nazi boss.
That's a lot of discomfort for gentlemen around the country at that point.
I know. I did have 2 exit holes in each cheek. Yeah, for each testicle.
Thanks for that, Michael. That's the kind of DVD extra we don't really see hear about. What about the accent? Where did you go to get that hello?
Well, you know, again, in the first meeting when I met Quentin, he was like, a lot of people are coming in, they're reading it in a certain way, sort of in a Michael Caine style.
Yeah.
And I know he's a big fan of Michael Caine, but he didn't want that for this role. He said, you know, and I got the idea then that he wanted the very sort of, you know, stiff upper lip type sort of delivery. And so then he said George Sanders, which I didn't really know much about George Sanders. He was the original Saint.
Kind of velvet.
Yeah, sort of. Very sort of, you know, nonchalant, sort of throwaway, you know, an old school sort of English.
Now, you've moved, obviously, the Inglourious Basterds is kind of almost, it's so last year, so to speak, because you're just breaking into the big time, you're getting bigger and bigger, and not physically, obviously, but it is, it's extraordinary. And you're in Dublin filming with Steven Soderbergh, the fine director, and tell us a little bit about that. You probably can't say a huge amount, but of that, roughly speaking.
It's the lead role in the film is a girl called Gina Carano, who's mixed. She comes from mixed martial arts. You know, those sort of cage fighting scenarios. So she's the lead, and it's a sort of spy thriller.
Excellent.
And I'm also an operative, and I sort of meet up with her. We've got a common sort of mission.
Okay, you've got what, Michael Douglas, Ewan McGregor floating around in that too. So
yeah, Channing Tatum and Antonio Banderas.
Okay, we'll see you in Centurion. Is that a big Roman sort of epic?
Romans on the Run, yeah.
Romans on the Run. I like the sound of that too.
Yeah, it's about the Ninth Legion. They disappear. The sort of myth of the Ninth Legion, and apparently, as the myth goes, 10 to sort of 15,000 of them just disappeared in the Highlands of Scotland, trying to quell this sort of Pict.
You were in Sparta, weren't you, briefly at one point? Were you in Sparta?
In 300?
300, sorry, I was thinking Sparta. 300. You were in 300, weren't you?
Yeah.
Did they CGI your pecs for that, or did you actually have real pecs?
They did, you know...
CGI, that's all I need
exactly,
to know. Michael, before we let you go, there's a bit of a rumour that you can hold a tune. And did you... It's been a...
How can you do this?
Oh yeah, no, with ease.
After Dionne Warwick.
Dionne Warwick, yes. Dionne Warwick is now your support act. Do you think we should get him up for an old shoe? We haven't done it. Get over there with the band, if you wouldn't mind. Ladies and gentlemen, God help him, it's Michael Fassbender.